everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I'm gonna get this border finished despite the fact that it's super cold out. Well, super cold, maybe a bit of an exaggeration. I did grow up in Michigan. I do know what real winter feels like, and I recognize that here in North Carolina, our cold days would have actually been considered warm in the Midwest. But nevertheless, it's colder than I prefer, but I'm gonna get this border finished. So my steps are to simply finish weeding this area to the left. Then I'm going to top dress the entire bed with Soil Cube organic compost. And lastly, I'm going to scatter some seeds. Now you can tell this soil has already been enriched for several seasons, doing a mow-in-place method with cover crops and adding organic compost. This is my favorite. This is Soil Cube Organic. Unfortunately, it's only available in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So I'm sorry for people that live outside of their range. My recommendation is to just find a quality compost supplier and stick with them. Okay, I've got these peaches, these dwarf peaches. This is a variety called Red Baron, and they've been growing for a year in these 100-gallon root pouches. So I think it's time to get them out of these grow bags and into the ground. The benefit of doing this now, these root pouches are sagging because these are my original ones that I did not put the cattle fence in to keep it sturdy. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to dig out the soil so that I can get this replanted for the cool season. All right, look everybody, my helpers came outside. They've been on online school all day, and somehow Aiden's wearing shorts, even though it's super cold out. Okay, so we have a couple things that we're gonna do. Abby, we're gonna have you undo the bag of potatoes and dump the soil in place. We've taken bets to see how many potatoes are gonna have grown. And then we've got our peaches, which we just dug out of the 100-gallon root pouches, and we're gonna plant these in this bed. We have 2 to plant, so we'll get those spaced out. We'll dump the rest of this compost in, and then it's time to sow. All right, so for this property border, we're gonna start with the cover crop. This is the Soil Builder peas and oats. And this is actually a complete cover crop because the peas are legumes, so they fix nitrogen. And the oats have super deep root systems, so they actually scavenge nutrients from way below the soil surface and draw it back up so the next round of plants will be naturally fertilized. That's why we don't ever have to put fertilizer out. We've also top dressed with Soil Cube. That makes a big difference. And then once we get this down, we can actually rake over this. But then we're gonna scatter 3 varieties of poppies: Sissinghurst White, Falling in Love, and Rose Feathers. Remember, poppies need light to germinate. They have to be surface sown. So once you scatter those seeds, don't walk in the bed, don't rake it, don't mulch it, just leave it alone. This time of year, all of this stuff will germinate typically within 2 to 3 weeks here in Zone 7, Central North Carolina. Remember, check for your local region before you take my advice literally, okay? I'm saying that twice in this video. Okay, so we're ready to sow. Who wants to do what? All right, I'm excited to give you updates through the winter, and I want to thank my awesome garden helpers who now have to go back inside and do more online schoolwork. So remember that school is intense these days, and I'm really excited that you guys got to take a moment and come outside and play even though it's super cold. So thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Now, I've had a lot of great comments and questions since I posted my big weeding video the other day. And one thing I want to acknowledge is that yes, you could lay cardboard down, you know, and cover this and smother the weeds. But the problem with doing that is that I want to plant in this now. I want to engage this ground plane for the winter season. So layering cardboard doesn't actually provide me the opportunity then direct seed with cover crops for the winter. Now, another question that I've been getting continuously in the last few weeks is all about the timing of sowing these plants. And you know, here I am in Zone 7, Central North Carolina. It's really hard to boil down the process of gardening to be relevant for all regions across the United States. So I can't give you exact advice on what to plant when if you live in a completely different climate. But what I'm trying to show is my method for my approach to gardening and engaging the ground plane and using seed because it's inexpensive and very effective. So my best advice is to take inspiration from my videos and then check with local gardening authorities about what your timing should be. Now, another thing to consider, seed is really cheap. So what do you really have to lose? Scatter some seed now. If it doesn't work, wait a few months, scatter some seed again, and then you can actually figure it out for yourself. That's precisely what I did. I started growing things from seed in the ground about 20 years ago, and most of what I'm teaching you is just from trial and error in my own experience. So that's the big advantage of growing this way. You don't have to go to the garden center and spend hundreds of dollars on plants. You can just sit at your computer and order seeds from awesome suppliers like Baker Creek Heirloom Seed, Hancock Seed for grains, High Mowing, Botanical Interest. There's a whole bunch of great seed companies that you can support, and just spend a tiny amount of money and then, you know, take note of what you sow where and notice what germinates and, you know, understand your climate through the process of seeding. All right, thanks for watching, and I'm excited to show you this process as it grows out over the coming months.